Hi folks, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. And that's your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Hi folks, welcome back. I saw this video on Project Veritas's website as well as their YouTube page. And it seems that the FBI has raided some reporters for Project Veritas and some former reporters. James O'Keefe explains here. It's about 6 minutes long. I'll probably interject a couple of times with brief comments. But this sounds very disturbing if everything he says is correct. I'm not going to assume that it is. I'm not going to assume he's telling the truth. I'm not going to assume he's lying. I'm assuming nothing. Just know the fact that they were raided. And he also states that after they were raided, the New York Times reporter, who they're right now suing for defamation, called one of the reporters that got raided, which I find fascinating. How did they find out? If the FBI leaked it out to them? I don't know. This is extremely disturbing. So let's listen a little bit and get James O'Keefe's point of view. And I'll tell you the truth. My gut tells me he is telling the truth, the entire truth. Let's listen. This is very disturbing, folks, very disturbing.
By making this statement, I am putting myself at great risk because on November 4th, Project Veritas came under attack. I awoke to the news that apartments and homes of Project Veritas journalists, or former journalists, had been raided by FBI agents. It appears the Southern District of New York now has journalists in their sights for the supposed crime of doing their jobs lawfully and honestly, or at least this journalist. I had to think long and hard before making this statement. It's a decision that only I can make. They don't want me to defend myself and immediately tried to silence me. That's why the cover letter to the grand jury subpoena we received contains this language. Quote, "The government hereby requests that you voluntarily refrain from disclosing the existence of the subpoena to any third party. While you are under no obligation to comply with our request, we are requesting you not to make any disclosure in order to preserve the confidentiality of the investigation and because the disclosure of the existence of this investigation might interfere with and impede the investigation." Unquote. But while the Department of Justice requested us to not disclose the existence of the subpoena, something very unusual happened. Within an hour of one of our reporters' homes being secretly raided by the FBI, the New York Times, who we are currently suing for defamation, contacted the Project Veritas reporter to ask for comment. We do not know how the New York Times was aware of the execution of a search warrant at our reporter's home or the subject matter of the search warrant, as a grand jury investigation is secret.
Now, that's true. Grand jury testimony is secret. It's very secret. Within an hour. And then if you saw in the original text, I'm assuming it's not taking on a context, it said it was voluntary. Voluntary holding back. It'd be interesting to see what judge or judges signed the warrant for the raiding of Veritas reporters and former reporters. And what information was given to that judge to get the warrant to begin with. This sounds like something that the old FISA court did to President Trump. Now, whether you hate President Trump's guts or you love him or you're somewhere in between, lying to a secret FISA court should be a felony and is. How many people have been convicted so far? And of these judges, I understand they rotate on the FISA court. Why aren't they screaming bloody murder? In other words, you guys brought me evidence. You said it was accurate. I signed off on the warrant to spy on a presidential candidate and ended up being BS. I want somebody's behind. I've yet to hear if that's happened or not. Let's listen on.
The FBI took materials of current former Project Veritas journalists despite the fact that our legal team previously contacted the Department of Justice and voluntarily conveyed unassailable facts that demonstrate Project Veritas' lack of involvement in criminal activity and/or criminal intent. Like any reporter, we regularly deal with the receipt of source information and take steps to verify its authenticity, legality, and newsworthiness. Our efforts were the stuff of responsible, ethical journalism, and we are in no doubt that Project Veritas acted properly at each and every step. However, it appears journalism itself may now be on trial. Late last year, we were approached by tipsters claiming they had a copy of Ashley Biden's diary. We had never met or heard of the tipsters. The tipsters indicated the diary had been abandoned in a room in which Ms. Biden stayed at the time, and in which the tipsters stayed in temporarily after Ms. Biden departed the room. The tipsters indicated that the diary included explosive allegations against then-candidate Joe Biden.
Now, if you remember, the Hunter Biden laptop incident, or I should say lack of incident, that was blacked out by social media, this channel, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. One of the reasons why I believe Parler was illegally yanked off the internet. Now this. Now you're going to see what James did with the diary. That would have been explosive. Maybe they were being set up with false information. Maybe it was an accurate diary. Who knows? But you're going to see what they did with it. And they published nothing to my knowledge, and nothing has leaked out from Project Veritas concerning the contents of said diary. So let's listen to what James has to say concerning that diary, which may have well killed, like we saw later in polls after the election, 17% of the Biden voters said they would have rethought their vote concerning President Biden if they'd known about the Hunter laptop.
The tipsters indicated that they were negotiating with a different media outlet for the payment of monies for the diary. The tipsters were represented by attorneys who handled the negotiations with Project Veritas. We investigated the claims provided to us, as journalists do. We took steps to corroborate the authenticity of the diary. At the end of the day, we made the ethical decision that because, in part, we could not determine if the diary was real, if the diary in fact belonged to Ashley Biden, or if the contents of the diary occurred, we could not publish the diary and any part thereof. We attempted to return the diary to an attorney representing Ms. Biden, but that attorney refused to authenticate it. Project Veritas gave the diary to law enforcement to ensure it could be returned to its rightful owner. We never published it. Now,
those of you saying, well, why didn't the Biden lawyer, in this case, Biden's relative, why didn't their lawyers take the diary? Well, that would be admitting it was authentic. They can't take something that doesn't belong to them. They're in a legal limbo there, and they're in a box. By refusing the diary, it doesn't admit that it was authentic, just in case Project Veritas or other news agencies had made copies or transcripts from the diary. So I can understand why they didn't take it. Bring it to law enforcement. He didn't say at what level, nor does it really matter. Probably local, who will give it on to the state or the Southern District of New York FBI division. Who knows? Law enforcement goes through the channels they do. What else could Project Veritas have done? And to my knowledge, since last year, before the election, Project Veritas or no reporter, to my knowledge, it would have been out by now, believe me, leaked any of the information from the so-called diary. Interesting. Let's listen on.
Now, Ms. Biden's father's Department of Justice, specifically the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, appears to be investigating the situation, claiming the diary was stolen. We don't know if it was, but it begs the question. In what world is the alleged theft of a diary investigated by the president's FBI and his Department of Justice?
Yeah, that's the thing. Why is in the world is the FBI's jurisdiction to investigate school board meetings? None. They have no jurisdiction. There's plenty of local law enforcement. City, county, and state. There's tons of them, believe me, in every city, county, and state. And if it's a small area where you don't really trust law enforcement per se to do the right thing, there's state officials that will do it. There's not a lack of law enforcement in any jurisdiction at all. So why did the FBI get involved? It makes it their jurisdiction if it's a relative of the president? I don't think so. Which goes back to the question, what evidence was shown the judge to sign on the warrant for the raids? Things that make you go, maybe they were PO'd because Project Veritas didn't fall for the bait of the fake diary so they would publish it and lose credibility. Who's to say?
A diary. This federal investigation smacks of politics. Project Veritas never threatened or engaged in any illegal conduct. Should the Southern District of New York try to take away our First Amendment rights and uncover and publish newsworthy stories without government intimidation, be assured Project Veritas will not back down. Nothing stops at Project Veritas. Let me be clear. Our mission is to serve the public's right to know by illuminating, revealing, exposing information others wish to hide for the wrong reasons. To quote Lord Acton, we believe everything kept in secret degenerates. We don't mislead or conceal. We investigate facts and potential newsworthy information. Sometimes, as was the case here, after we investigate, we decide not to publish a news story. But Project Veritas will run from nothing and we will hide from nothing. We exist for the very purpose of discovering and revealing the truth and hope to make the world a more transparent place. Now, this is not the first time we've been attacked, and it will not be the last. We know why. We've investigated powerful people, and in many ways, we are the very tip of the spear. But we never break the law. In fact, one of our ethical rules is to act as if there are 12 jurors on our shoulders all the time. And that truth, and the truth, will vindicate us. When the FBI in the Southern District of New York seize reporters' notebooks, it is not just an attack on Project Veritas. It is an attack on every American and our sacred right to free speech and a free press. The First Amendment is first for a reason. It guarantees all the other rights that follow.
There's an old adage, kind of a joke in a way. He's right, the First Amendment is first, for a reason. And the Second Amendment is there just in case they don't enforce the First Amendment. That's the old meme, the old joke. Not so funny anymore, is it?
Because it's all about accountability. Without accountability, freedom itself is an illusion. So the great question is this an indicator in the direction that America is going? We've gone far beyond the point of partisan politics in this country. They ask us to focus on our divisions. They don't ask us to focus on the things which unite us. What unites us is so much more powerful than what divides us.
That's true. That is true. Because the progressive Democrats, with their demonstrations and their big mouths, they're very, very engaged and they're very organized. And their voices seem louder and bigger than they really are. And it looks like they're the majority. Well, the fact of the matter is, he's right. We have much more in common than we disagree on. And the First Amendment is sacrosanct. Period. There is no discussion. And I think I would guess a good 80% of the population, when you really, really told the truth, would agree with that as well.
The First Amendment doesn't just matter to people on one side. It matters to people on all sides. That is why I'm calling on all Americans, and especially all journalists, to stand with us for the right to free speech and the free press, and to send a message that the politics of fear will not prevail in the United States of America.
Now, we'll see how many journalists come out. Anybody care to wager? How about MSNBC, CNN? Yeah, right. This will be their response. They'll report that they got raided, but they won't stick up for the fact they maybe were raided erroneously. Or, I shouldn't say the president. President Biden is just a cardboard cutout. It's the people that are the president that are doing this. They did the right thing. That's probably what happened. They probably got set up with a fake diary and God knows what crazy stuff was in there. Probably crazier than the crap they had concerning Trump in Moscow, if you remember that fiasco. I won't go into details. And how he was a Russian agent and compromised. And all that nonsense. And just this week, in the Durham investigation going extremely slowly, they finally had their first indictment. We'll see if the House of Cards falls. We'll see. They're in charge of everything. But I will say this. When Project Veritas got flooded out, I believe they're on Long Island, I sent them some money to help their cause. I'm going to do a video as well on the Daily Wire suing the Biden administration concerning the vaccine mandate for employees. I very, very rarely endorse sending money to an organization or an individual. But here is the ProjectVeritas.com web address. Please send them a donation if you can. I sent them some when they got flooded out. And also on the dailywire.com. They're not asking for donations because their fight against the feds is going to cost a ton of money. It doesn't matter if they have it or not. They shouldn't bankrupt themselves to go to court to have their rights upheld. I'm a Daily Wire monthly member. I think I pay by the year. I encourage all others, and I'll be doing a video on that in the future. So if you can spare, I know things are tight. If you can spare even $10, send it to Project Veritas. Go on their website. I think there's a comment section as well, or maybe even send them an email saying I sent the money in to help you guys with your legal funds to protect your right as journalists. And we'll see what the facts are. Like I said, I don't believe 100% of what James said, and I don't believe 100% what the feds aren't saying, if anything at all. We'll see what happens. The truth will eventually get out. This is something that's going on, folks, I think you should know about. Who's next? YouTubers like me? Little small guys that stick up for the Constitution? Am I going to get a pounding on my door? There's going to be a pounding on your door. Who knows? We are now in 1984 land. And I say this with such enthusiasm. And I'm dead serious when I say this to everyone. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.